Sometimes someone hurts you so bad it stops hurting at all. You don't know me. You don't know my story. How could you ever understand my life? Even if you asked, even if you listened, you would never understand. You won't even remember my story.
Leave me alone!
There's a monster living in my house, but nobody would believe me if I told them. If you had a monster in your house, you need to be good at hiding. I'm a really good hider. I try to be really quiet, so the monster doesn't know where I am, but it finds me every time. It doesn't matter how quiet I am. Doesn't matter how invisible I make myself. I can never relax. I have to be aware all the time. People tell me there's nothing to be afraid of, but they don't know about monsters. Monsters make it so you're scared all the time, but I don't want to be scared of the monsters anymore. Today I told my teacher about the monster. I didn't think she would believe me, but she did. She told me there was a place where people know how to fight monsters. She says that some of them had monsters in their house too. Maybe they can help me fight the monster so I can be safe again, so that I can be happy again.
As a forensic interviewer, my job is to gather information from a child when there's been allegations and concerns of child abuse. This will help to build a case and understand what has happened to the child in a non-leading, specific, and appropriate way during the interview. I don't represent one side of the story or either party. I represent the child. When you take a child back into the interview room, you never know what you're going to hear. You never know how much time you have with this kid. It honestly just depends on how long that they feel that they need to be in that interview room. Some kids are ready to speak and explain their story and their trauma, as you might be that first person that has heard their trauma for the first time in a listening ear. And some kids are not ready to talk, and we let them know that that's okay, and that we'll always be here when they are ready to talk. My job, no matter what child I see at the end of the day, is to let them know that they matter and that their story is valid.
When kids come in, you don't really know what you're going to get. As a family advocate, you get about 2 minutes to make a kid feel safe and comfortable with you and to connect with the family. Some kids want to be with you automatically, and some kids are a little bit more apprehensive. Both of those are okay. I try to connect with them on things that they like sports or animals or art, and connecting with them on those things helps them know that they matter and that their story matters, at least to us at the CAC. We try to do this Canvas project as a way to let them know that they're not alone. They can see these handprints and know that there's someone out there with a story like theirs. These handprints mean a lot to me personally. I can look at them and see each child that placed their hand on this canvas. When you look at the canvas, you see handprints, but I see the stories of the 57 children that have been into the CAC. I see kids that we held their hands while they walked through one of the most difficult parts of their life. And a lot of these kids actually leave in a better mood than when they came in. To me, that shows that we did our job.
I think most people would be surprised at the amount of child abuse and neglect that there is in our county. And not just our county, any city, any state in the country. With the Child Advocacy Center, we are able to provide services for these kids that come in. When a family walks through our doors, they are trusting us with their deepest, darkest secrets. We take that so seriously, and we can provide the services needed only because we have an immense amount of collaborative partners. That starts with the sexual assault nurse examiner. It can go to law enforcement, our mental health professionals, and so many more. By us combining our services, we can provide everything that this family needs to be able to hold their head high and move forward in their life.
Hi, I'm Zach Stepien, Branch County Prosecutor. A Child Advocacy Center is very important to this county and for investigations into child sexual assault and child abuse. It allows for law enforcement and for my office to collect information on a case in an unbiased fashion so we can evaluate the case and prepare for prosecution. It allows the child to tell what happened to them in a safe environment with professionals that are trained to speak with children about traumatic events. That's why I believe we need a child advocacy center in Branch County.
I'm Laura Kopaz. I'm a forensic nurse with Branch County Sexual Assault Services here at ProMedica Coldwater Regional Hospital. And our program provides medical forensic care to victims who report sexual violence. We provide a thorough medical forensic examination, evidence collection, injury photographs, and lots of documentation. We also make referrals to Child Protective Services, and we do follow-up information for acute and non-acute cases. Not only do we care for children physically, but emotionally as well, and we are very pleased to be part of the multidisciplinary team and the Child Advocacy Center, because children aren't just little adults. They deserve and need to have specialized care that the Child Advocacy Center provides.
Imagine you're a 6-year-old child and you've been physically or sexually abused, probably by somebody you know and trust. You've probably been told it was your fault, and you've probably been threatened not to tell anybody. It leaves you traumatized. Eventually, you find a teacher that you can trust, and you tell your teacher what happened. The teacher asks a lot of questions. The teacher calls in Child Protective Services. When they get there, they ask you to repeat your story. They ask you a bunch of questions. Realizing that this is a criminal incident, they call the police. You're directed to go to the police department, where you come in, we ask you to tell your story. We ask you a lot more questions. Eventually, we put a case together and we send it to the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor calls you in, asks you to tell them your story, and they ask you even more questions. You got to remember that every time the child has to explain the event as to what happens, it's causing additional trauma. They're reliving the event. With all these people, they're wondering why they have to talk to so many strangers. And they may even be thinking that people are judging them or don't believe them. By using the Child Advocacy Center, the child only has to tell their story in detail one time. They're in a comfortable location, they're dealing with a friendly, specially trained interviewer, and the police, protective services, the prosecutor, sometimes even a sexual assault nurse will be present in another room monitoring the interview live as it happens, and they can feed the interviewer questions through a radio earbud. So all agencies get all of the information they need, and the child only has to tell it one time. This reduces the amount of trauma the child has to go through. They only have to relive it the one time. This approach leads to a better investigation by CPS and law enforcement, and most importantly, reduces the trauma to the child. Further, while the child is at the Child Advocacy Center, shelter house staff is available to make referrals, to assess the needs of the family, and to begin the healing process. Having the Child Advocacy Center right here in Branch County is a great asset to our community.
The Child Advocacy Center of Branch County coordinates the investigation, treatment, and prosecution of the most serious cases of child abuse in Branch County in Michigan. We provide a physical environment where a child's well-being is our first priority and break the cycle of abuse through training, education, and community outreach. The reasoning behind a Child Advocacy Center is to cause the least amount of trauma for the child, with the end goal to have them telling their story to the least amount of people by having a trained forensic interviewer that will ask the questions in a trauma-informed way, but get the information needed to hold perpetrators accountable. Last year's statistics show that we had over 170 substantiated cases of child abuse and neglect in our community. From January to August, with much of that time being during a pandemic, we have already had 57 interviews. The need continues to increase, and we need to increase our services with it. The drawing of this building is just that, a building. But it is not about a building, it's about these young victims and what they need. It does cost dollars, but what kind of dollar amount can we put on a child that has gone through this unspeakable trauma? We are here, but the children need you. The field you see is the location where we would like to place the new Child Advocacy Center, and the pictures you see depict the amount of substantiated cases of child abuse and neglect in Branch County last year. We have outgrown our location, and we can do none of this without your assistance. We need to raise dollars to make the project a reality and to give our community what it needs, but more importantly, what these children of trauma need.
The children need you.
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 I need you.
If you would like to help the children, please contact us at 517-278-SAFE or 517-278-7233 or any of the other ways to communicate that are listed below. We would love to present this information to your service club or other individuals to show them the need as well. Thank you for taking the time to help the children.